a case management hearing on a charge that was brought initially, at least the statement of the police officer, is from the 19th of the 1st of 2021. And I'm going to read you out what the police officer said because it
stopped and started again. That says live.
That's fine.
Start again.
Oh, is it? Is it live?
Yeah, it says live.
Okay.
Start again.
So, I'm outside City of London Magistrates Court. I got the witness statement from PS Andrew Klayvecht from the 19th of the 1st of September, 19th of the 1st of 21. And it relates to Speaker's Corner on the 27th of December. There's a lot of video about this. The week before, the police had violently they attempted to arrest me. They arrested Nicholas Scholes for no reason whatsoever, physically attacked him, brutally attacked him, injured his arms and damaged his health, physical and mental. And there were lots of witnesses and there was video of that. The week after I went to Hyde Park, a few people joined me from Marble Arch, and the officer reports the following. The video's online on Mr. Axe's channel. So I just read you out the kind of nonsense the officer said. On Sunday the 27th of December, I was on duty in full uniform. I was posted to Speaker's Corner. Speaker's Corner is a challenging location to police. It attracts many people who have very strong beliefs and are driven to share their beliefs at this forum. This can often lead to heated exchanges. The policing role is to preserve the Queen's peace and ensure a safe environment for all attendees. On 27th of December 2020, London was in a Tier 4 location. As such, any person needs to have an exemption for being away from the place of abode. There is an expectation that police enforce this legislation in order to preserve the health of citizens. The COVID restrictions have added to the challenges of Speaker's Corner, as many of the regular attendees feel that their freedom of speech is of paramount importance and outweighs the requirements of the government's COVID regulations. Added to this is the fact that many of the Speaker's Corner regulars seem to reject the seriousness of COVID. Policing is particularly difficult. Prior to 27th of December, I was aware that a male known to me as Dr. Heiko Khoo, date of birth 9/11/63, Cambridge Gardens, London, had become a recent protagonist at Speaker's Corner, using any means possible to reject COVID regulations and to continue to speak publicly. He has been with his apparent entourage and his speaking has resulted in small crowds forming. I have been present on one occasion where Dr. Khoo took advantage of riding a Santander cycle around Speaker's Corner, shouting anti-government and anti-police rhetoric. On that occasion, police were unable to stop him. I've no doubt whatsoever that Dr. Khoo was fully aware of COVID regulations. He's a YouTube channel and will upload videos from the interactions at Speaker's Corner with the police. He seems to have in excess of 1,700 subscribers, and his uploaded videos seem to have in excess of 1,000 views each time. His YouTube channel is simply called Heiko Khoo, no longer existent. On the 27th of December, about 1500 hours, I saw Dr. Khoo walk into Speaker's Corner and was with an entourage of approximately 5 people who had their mobile phones and appeared to be recording Dr. Khoo. I approached Dr. Khoo and introduced myself. He immediately asked me to remain 2 distance from him and he stepped back. I did not encroach on him and was wearing a face mask. Dr. Khoo was not wearing a face mask. Before I could say anything further to him, he advised me that the Mayor of London had stated on the 18th of December that Speaker's Corner was still permitted even during lockdown. I stated, "No, it's not, sir." Dr. Khoo again told me that the Mayor of London had stated it was and asked whether I was superior to the Mayor of London. It was now apparent to me that this interaction was not spontaneous and that it was stage managed and prepared by Dr. Khoo. I did consider engaging, explaining and encouraging Dr. Khoo to conform with COVID legislation, but felt this would not be appropriate as I was satisfied Dr. Khoo was aware of COVID legislation and regulations. He's an educated man who's fully discussed the topic on his YouTube channels. He has had numerous interactions with police during 2020, has never complied with COVID requirements. I'm fully aware how important Speaker's Corner is to Dr. Khoo, and it was clear to me he wanted our conversation to escalate. Knowing this would inevitably create a gathering of onlookers, I was not prepared to discuss matters of law with Dr. Khoo. We were being filmed, and I believe this was to be for his YouTube channel. This area of Hyde Park was reasonably busy, and I became aware that members of the public were stopping and watching this interaction. I was not prepared to be part of Dr. Khoo's plan at Speaker's Corner and assist in developing a gathering, and therefore put public health at risk. With this in mind, I decided to utilise powers under the Royal Parks and Other Open Spaces Act of 1997. I felt to preserve the health of the public and prevent a gathering, it was reasonable of me to direct Dr. Khoo to leave Speaker's Corner. At 15:04, that's 4 minutes the whole thing has lasted, I made the request of Dr. Khoo stating, I'm going to have to ask you to leave Speaker's Corner now. He asked me to explain that I'd reasonably... he asked me, is that a first request? I said it's a request for you to leave. He asked me why it was being requested, and I began to explain that I reasonably believed his presence at Speaker's Corner would lead to breaches of COVID legislation. He asked why him? Why am I asking him to leave the area? He replied, my valid reason is to exercise my voice. Sorry, I got something wrong there, but anyway. I said to him, sir, you're going to be asked for you're going to have to leave Speaker's Corner. This is a direction of a constable under the Royal Parks and Open Spaces Act of 1997. He asked for confirmation that this request was not a COVID legislation. I advised him at this point it was not it was under the Royal Parks and Other Open Spaces Act, and I told him I'd rather not have to report him for offences. This is because I'm fully aware of the importance of Speaker's Corner. Dr. Khoo, who as I understand has been a regular at Speaker's Corner since the 1980s, and I was trying to balance policing relationship at Speaker's Corner with public health. I felt that Dr. Khoo was leaving the location and that would lead him to return home. He started trying to discuss with me matters of law, and I was aware that even more people had now stopped to observe this interaction. I approached him again, directing him to leave the park. Dr. Khoo began to walk towards the exit of Hyde Park on Park Lane. I followed him and noticed even more people were filming us. None were wearing face masks.
Oh dear.
As he walked towards the park exit, he started to state he wished to make an allegation when officers had assaulted a male by the name of Nicholas Scholes the previous week. I felt this was a ploy to engage with me. I believe that Mr. Scholes had been arrested the previous week, and this may well have been the incident Dr. Khoo was referring to. Therefore, I declined to engage with him over this matter, as my intention remained for him to leave Speaker's Corner. Dr. Khoo started to shout about thug police and such insults. Dr. Khoo walked beyond the boundary of Hyde Park onto footpath of Park Lane. There he came to a stop and turned towards me and shouted, am I now outside the park? Has this satisfied your request? He was still being filmed and shouted again, has this satisfied your request? At this point, it was now clear to me that though he had conformed to my request under the Royal Parks and Open Spaces Act, he was likely to remain just outside the park and continue to speak publicly, which would only alter the location of potential gathering he was clearly wishing upon. I now felt the need to make a requirement of Dr. Khoo to return home to his place of his living. The power is under the Health Protection Coronavirus Restriction 2020. I said to him, go home please, Dr. Khoo. He replied, go home because? He argued, you do not have the authority to demand I go home. He then started to run on the spot and state he was exercising his vocal cords. He then turned and walked and then running around Park Lane in and out of traffic. Later that afternoon I became aware Dr. Khoo was in Marble Arch and was speaking there. I could see him clearly from Speaker's Corner as he remained in his distinctive coat. I transmitted this fact to other officers who I became aware did attend Marble Arch to speak with Dr. Khoo. It was apparent to me that Dr. Khoo had ignored the direction for him to return to his home and indeed started to public speak after I had instructed him to return home. The YouTube footage of the day is available, blah, blah, blah. I was subsequently aware that PC Berry was to attend the home address of Dr. Khoo and report him for COVID offences he had witnessed. I advised him of my incident with Dr. Khoo and asked him to report for failing to comply with a requirement imposed or direction given by a relevant person. This is in relation to the fact that Dr. Khoo did not return to his home when directed to do so by me. I've been advised by PC Berry that he did attend his home and was successful in reporting him for the above offence. So they charged me with 3 offences, all at Speaker's Corner. Tony has also been charged with a false offence at Speaker's Corner. They made Speaker's Corner a focal point, and we also wanted to make it a focal point in this sense. On Monday coming, at 11 o'clock. We're inviting the people to come to Speaker's Corner because it's the 150th anniversary of the Parks and Gardens Act of 1872, which permitted the right of people to speak at Speaker's Corner. The fundamental principle is very simple, and that is the Parks and Gardens Act allow you to go to Hyde Park and make speeches in the specific area, which is about half the park, which was designated by statute. And what the police were saying, de facto, was that when you enter into Speaker's Corner under the coronavirus times, you were not allowed to open your mouth and make auditory sounds. So in other words, the one place in Britain where you were not allowed to speak, I mean literally just talk on a mobile phone, talk to your children, was Speaker's Corner. And so clearly that was a contradiction which we tried to expose. And I think this case should expose it. It's a case management hearing. If they go ahead with it, then we'll request all the officers and we'll provide the video footage from the previous weeks to put it into context so people understand what's been happening. Let me just turn around to get Tony quickly and then go into the court. So Tony,
Time to go.
oh no, I've got 4 minutes. I'm sorry, I can't really do that. I'll have to do it afterwards here.